I know a lot of gamers out there don't know what No More Heroes World Ranker is. At least that's what Bishop, the guy on Reddit, said. So I'm on the internet trying to find info, and then I realize nobody cares. Why? Because it's not even that good of a game. But man, it was a rabbit hole. Anywho, I'm on Google searching for info, and I found this blog called Punk's Not Dead. I go searching around and find an old file of No More Heroes World Ranker, and then I find old videos and screenshots. I want to play this game. Short and simple enough for you. Been a long and hard road, but who knows? Could be worth it. Maybe new info will show up. What do you say? Will you join me on this road for the No More Heroes World Ranker? Moe. We should probably start with what was No More Heroes World Ranker. It was a social mobile game released only in Japan for Android on August 30th, 2012, and then released for iOS 2 months later on October 30th, 2012. Now what I want to know is what the hell a social game is, but I swear it is f***ing impossible to find any info about social games, because the terms social and game have way too many other results, and you'll get anything but No More Heroes World Ranker. And the English Mobage page is shut down, so I have to use the Wayback Machine to find any information. My best guess is that it's a connected network, where all of the games on the Mobage services are connected to one account. There were a ton of Mobage games that were considered social games, and some of them even still exist to this day, but most Mobage games are usually the same, with microtransactions or gacha elements, and the usual power meter where you could do a couple of missions, and then it would drain your energy, and you have to wait to continue playing. You know that mechanic in every mobile game that everyone dislikes, but is needed for the company to actually make money? However, nobody cares about that. You just want to hear about No More Heroes World Ranker. So, what do you even do in this game? From what I found, you play as a custom-made assassin, no longer the most badass assassin in video games. The game was released after desperate struggle, and that game was the intended end for Travis' story, until Travis Strikes Again, and then No More Heroes 3 brought him back. So instead they made you make a custom assassin to fight, which is a pretty cool idea, and there seemed to be quite a bit of customization, and the actual gameplay looks pretty simple. It seems to be a repainted version of rock, paper, scissors, with the replacements being sword, gun, and wrestling, and you'd have to fight by swiping in the right direction. Basically they were QTEs, and you could do the same for blocking certain attacks. You would also be able to customize the class of your assassin. You could have been a grappler, hitman, or an assassin. This would change what skills you would have had in combat, and you'd be able to face other people online or fight against your friends. But you could also fight the bosses from the actual games, and also fight against Travis Touchdown himself, although all the models for the bosses were just taken from the original games. There was also a song that was remixed for the game that should be playing right now. Thankfully this track is still on YouTube and you can still listen to it. However, I only know one song that was remixed, and I can't confirm what music was used in-game, because there's only one really obscure video I found that has no audio and has around 650 views. Aside from all that, there's little information about the gameplay of World Ranker, and the only video I could find was, as I mentioned, an obscure video with 650 views. However, World Ranker never got released outside of Japan, even though Suda51 did want it to get released in other regions, but the game didn't make enough of an impact and stayed inside Japan until it eventually shut down. And Suda wanted to make World Ranker the bloodiest social game. However, it was completely censored, sadly. So what happened? Why did No More Heroes World Ranker get shut down? Sadly, there is not a lot of documentation about the end of World Ranker. In fact, there's not even a confirmed date of when the game had even shut down. If you take the URL for the original website and put it in the Wayback Machine, some legend out there archived the original website back in 2012. Even though there are only 2 results and they're the exact same website, but with a different date with only a month of separation between them. And the website itself has only a link to the Android download page, and has no graphics whatsoever. Hey, at least it's more than the game pages for the Play Store and iTunes Store, which have nothing, not even an actual archived page. The only archived stuff is the page of the app being down. I'm surprised that the Suda51 wiki even got these original links for the Play Store and iTunes Store. How did they even find these? Alright, let's move on and answer, why did World Ranker get shut down? Well, it's probably because of the game only being released in Japan. The No More Heroes games have usually sold the worst in Japan compared to any other region. Might I remind you of the No More Heroes toilet paper opening? I'll briefly go over it, but Suda51 and producer Yasuhiro Wada would sell No More Heroes copies in toilet paper in Japan on launch day for No More Heroes, but wouldn't sell a copy for 20 minutes until a Famitsu reporter, out of pity, would buy a copy during the failed launch event of No More Heroes. From the toilet paper failure, you could probably make an educated guess and say World Ranker didn't have the biggest player base or impact, and it was interesting to see people outside of Japan were going out of their way just to obtain the game, according to some comments made back in 2012 in some old news articles and blogs. Okay, so if you want to play World Ranker now, you're just screwed after 11 years and all we have is some old obscure footage, a bunch of screenshots, and a remix of one song. Well, yeah, we still can't play the game, but there was some pretty interesting info that would be dug up and found after buried in an ancient Tumblr blog for years that had an actual APK file of the original game. A Tumblr blog named Punk's Not Dead, or is it Fuck Yeah Grasshopper? I know nothing about Tumblr. It's run by a guy named Danny, I think. I mean, he credits himself as Danny, so I'm gonna call him Danny. The blog is mostly focused on Grasshopper manufacturer and the games made by them, and some other obscure Grasshopper stuff. There's some interesting reads about World Ranker that were made by Danny, and he posted a ton of screenshots with write-ups about World Ranker, which is really cool, so thanks Danny. And if you want to check out the blog for other things that are World Ranker related, but also Grasshopper related stuff, the link's in the description for the blog. But I should move on and tell you about the actual APK file that you actually care about, rather than Danny and his blog. A long time ago, Danny posted an APK file of the Android version of World Ranker in 2012 on the Punk's Not Dead blog. Okay, so we have an APK file of No More Heroes World Ranker, so you can play it in an emulator or an old Android phone, right? No, you can download the file and try to boot it up, but it will never work. This is probably because it's trying to connect to the MoBage services, which have been shut down for World Ranker for a decade at this point. But you can go to the APK file thanks to a decompilation from a DeviantArt user named FDGSZ, and you can find some assets, like there's some models, textures, and sound effects that you can find. Like this sound effect. Some of these creepy textures, and some models for the assassin customization. Editor's note. I was originally going to have photos of the models you could use for customization, but for some reason I can't find any archive of any of the pictures on the internet. And I swear I saw pictures of the original models on a DeviantArt post, but the original poster might have deleted that post, because I can't find it anymore. And I don't have the technical skills or patience to find the models in the actual APK file or decompilation, so I'd appreciate it if someone had any screenshots or any archives of the models. I'd really appreciate it. So since we can't play the original game at all, we could possibly recreate it. However, at the moment, that isn't even possible to do, because to recreate the game, you need other assets from the game and programming to make the game function just like the original. And no one has all the original assets for World Ranker. To find these assets, I should probably explain how No More Heroes World Ranker probably downloaded the rest of the models and sound effects you needed to play the game. When you downloaded World Ranker off the App Store or Play Store, you would need to start the game. Then it would connect to the MoBage services and would download the rest of the files you needed to play. Kind of like Animal Crossing Pocket Camp, where you take 20 centuries to download the entire game, and then you play it for 1 week. Get bored of it, then delete it because you'd rather play a better Animal Crossing game like Animal Crossing New Leaf. And if you, the viewer, want to play No More Heroes World Ranker now, the only way is to have someone remake the game, because I'm sure Grasshopper doesn't want to do anything with it anymore. And if someone wants to remake World Ranker, then they need the original assets, which no one has. So you need to find a phone with the fully downloaded game. And if you know you have the full downloaded game back in the day and still have the original phone you used, then I recommend that you contact the No More Heroes subreddit, because I'm sure someone there knows what to do to help you, because I'm not going to do anything with it. So this is the only way you could possibly play this obscure mobile game that no one can play anymore. But it would be cool to play it and at least preserve it. And I promise I'll make an update video if it does get remade or some update happens. But until that day, there's nothing else that I can talk about regarding World Ranker. Thanks for watching, I worked hard on this video, and I'll see you in the future with more videos. See ya!